it's not going to be completely fair.
A month off for football guaranteed.
Is it going to be a month?
Yeah. Oh, Spence, what does that mean for your football team? Like,
it's going to give a fair few of our players a little bit more recovery time.
you guys don't understand how little we get told. Alright guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another video here on the #United channel. I'm joined by our first team manager, Jay Devereaux, for a little catch up. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
You're not gone, you don't fancy, I'm seeing the moustache potential you've got.
What do you reckon?
You've got a great moustache
potential. You want me to join you?
I think you should join it, mate. Mario Brothers.
They'd have to make me Luigi because you are Mario. Look at you.
This is what I'm going for.
I thought I'd delivering pizza later.
I had to bring it up before you did. I knew you were going to bring it up at some point. So I have got a tash at the moment. I'm sort of doing Movember, but I'm not because I cheated, didn't it? Because I haven't grown this from scratch in like a couple of days into November. But feel free to leave a comment below what you think about the tash. We're going to talk about the obvious news that's centering around #United right now and the whole country really, which is that we're in lockdown again. Well, we're going to be in lockdown. We're not in lockdown as we're recording this.
No.
We're getting some footage in just before it kicks in.
We've got a couple of days, haven't we? Yeah.
So we had it confirmed today, a month off for football guaranteed. We weren't sure yet, were we? Because we thought, are we going to be able to play without fans or something? But definitely no football for a month.
For our level.
What's your reaction?
It's just annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's difficult because it's the second time now, and we know there's much bigger things going on in the world, but you can't help but feel frustrated by it all.
Do you think, I mean, I certainly echo that. What worries me more than the lockdown, because we can handle the lockdown, you know, we've done it for much longer already. It's the unknowing of what's coming after it. Are we going to have multiple lockdowns?
Yeah.
Or how are we going to finish the league?
Is it going to be a month?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It raises all manner of questions, really, doesn't it? I think the inconsistencies in the messages that we get in as well. It's kind of a lockdown without being a lockdown, and we've had the tiered approach, and we don't know what we'll go back to. The anomalies around what you can't do and what you can do. You can, you know, kids can go to school, but they can't visit their grandparents or cousins. It's just, I think the whole country is feeling slightly disillusioned with it all. Totally.
I mean, from a football perspective, obviously that's what we're centering on today. Yeah. We'd got back to it, hadn't we? We've actually got a hell of a lot of games played already. We've done 11 games of our league game, and how many is it? 18 games.
I think we've played 18. Is it 7? Yeah,
unreal.
We've had 3 Vars games and 4 FA Cup games.
Obviously, the fact that we've been doing pretty well in the cups is what's given us that busy schedule.
Yeah, but I think we've averaged a game every 3 days. It's been pretty brutal. Which goes back to the, you know, it makes me even more so. Feel even more frustrated about how hastily things were expunged last season. Yeah. Because, you know, the view was that you couldn't continue the season at a later date because it wouldn't be fair on players and you know, injuries, because they would have had to fit too many games in a short space of time, and then we start the season and it's been pretty brutal for everyone that's had to come back. But it's been full on, and I don't know, it's probably not been a study been done at our level, but I wouldn't need a study to tell you that the risk of injury has been obvious. And we're not the only team that suffered a lot of injuries, but we've suffered. I thought last year was bad, but this year has been pretty horrific in terms of juggling.
It makes you realise how well we've coped with those injuries, or how well we've done in general, and you see how we are in the league, currently top of the league, and the cup runs we've already had. When we've had injuries at points, we've had points we've had 3 or 4 goalkeepers out of action. We've had points we've had 5+ centre-backs out of action. Like, it's amazing, and it's a credit to you and all your guys that you've been able to get these results, and also the depth of the squad.
And I think, obviously, we're fortunate because we are a club that players want to play for. So we are able to have a bigger squad than most at this level. So I think that's been a huge thing. I'm not going to, you know, I don't think we should be dressing it up as some kind of heroic achievement. There's a lot of it is that I'm fortunate as a manager that I can have a big squad and the players still want to play. But certainly then all the credit goes to the players for coping with the schedule and understanding that actually changes have to make on a regular basis. And I know there's a bit of a joke about there being a couple of changes and and tinkering around, but really it has been an exercise in juggling sides and planning ahead and thinking of almost every weekend. It's been a case of not planning for one game but planning for the two, and picking a side on the Saturday with your side on Monday in mind, and it's great really to approach the one game that's in front of you. And I've always been a believer that you can only affect that one game that you're involved in, but this year's been slightly different.
Well, what we want to focus on this video is what we think could happen as a result of this lockdown and the league and stuff. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to make another video answering some of your questions. We've had some of them come in social media, so we'll get that up as soon as possible as well. I'm also going to talk about this. That'll be in another video, but when we first talked about being in the FA Cup, I made a prediction, or whatever you want to call it, prediction / expectation of where we might be. This envelope has remained sealed since before we started the FA Cup, and obviously now we're out of it. We can see how close or not close I was. So that's going to come up in another video. With regards to lockdown, it's funny because Boris Johnson does his announcement, and within minutes, I actually went live on Twitch short after that, and within minutes, people are going to me, "Oh, Spence, what does that mean for your football team?" Like, you guys don't understand how little we get told. You maybe expect, because you're used to watching high levels of football, that there's some kind of, and I don't even know if that exists at that level, but some great communication strategy that before Boris even makes his announcement, we know exactly what's going on. Guys, we're like 4 or 5 days past the announcement now, and we're still not sure what's going on. Not only that, and the thing that annoys me the most about not even going into lockdown, so I understand why we're in lockdown, about the situation we're in. Tell me if you think this is unrealistic, but I think it's terrible that we were put into a situation to start this season without knowing how it would be finished in the event that we can't. It's such a no-brainer. After what happened to us and so many other leagues last year with the null and void decision, when such a large 74% of our season was played, some teams have played more than that. That was null and void. How can we start a new season not knowing? We still don't now. About a week before the lockdown was announced, the second lockdown, we got a communication from our league asking us what we prefer, points per game or null and void. We've played 11 games already. The nature of this league is that, any league, is that when you're a third of the way into the league, there's a lot of teams that don't feel like they can get promoted anymore, but might be scared of relegation. So relegation is, so null and void might be something that's better for more of the league than a promotion chances. So I think the vote's irrelevant anyway, because it's ultimately going to get decided by higher leagues, just like it was before.
And I think that's where the directions come from as well. And you talk about, obviously, the Prime Minister makes the announcement, and we don't know, but I'm not sure the FA knew.
Yeah.
What it meant. We've got this whole argument about where elite football starts and ends, and that's been rumbling on. You know, we were allowed back with crowds because we weren't elite. Elite football weren't allowed to have crowds, yet there would be some clubs at that level that would have to exist on crowds not as small as ours, but not a lot larger. I think a lot of it just comes down to funding. I think the elite clubs have been funded for, 3 months, is it? So to allow them to play behind closed doors. If they then allowed our levels to play behind closed doors, then you're talking about, a financial implication on the FA, the government. Yeah. Which they probably couldn't afford. So
I understand all that. I think that, the FA can't know when it's going to be locked down. They can't do anything about that. But what they can do is they ultimately greenlit us returning to football. And they could have said, even if it's not going to come from them, because I know they don't necessarily decide the decision, but some of the leagues do, they could have said to the leagues, get your house in order before a ball's kicked, make sure everyone knows what happens if you play 20% of the season. Yeah. What happens if you play 50%? Because we still don't know. And for me, as a team that's obviously pushing for promotion, and there's others in our league that are doing that as well, we want to know that we have a chance to at least play for it. That's the thing that hurt so much last year, right? We didn't get to finish the job. Not that we didn't go up, it's that we didn't get to either earn it or not earn it.
I think what we have to accept is whatever gets decided, if the season doesn't get completed, it's not going to be completely fair.
No.
There's going to be some upset by it. What we have to find, what the FA has to find is the fairest way, I think. And I think it has to be the fairest way to reward as well as reprieve. because there was no reward last season, and there were teams in far worse situations than ours. This isn't just about us. And I can honestly say, if we missed out on promotion to another team, I may feel slightly hard done by, but I would accept that rather than have somebody say to me, it doesn't exist. Yeah. Those results no longer count. They don't. Those results do count. They count to us as part of our, we've got a very, very short history. Those 26 league games we played last year and umpteen cup games are important fixtures as part of our growth and part of our short history. And for other clubs, same. To just expunge those results. The fairest thing for me, if they were going to go down the route of null and void, was do that, but let the results stand. So the results at least stay on record. We could have then been into the situation now or in January, February, whenever it might happen, that they've got last season's results and X amount of games this season. And it could be that you could just take the last 40 games that each team has played. It won't be completely fair, but it will be a reflection of how well that club has done.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that if we'd not got promoted last year, but another team had, and that had been from some sort of algorithm on points per game or head-to-head or whatever, we did win all those algorithms, but let's say there was one that we didn't, then I'd at least gone, well, I understand the logic and I understand that they've done something better than us, so therefore they go up. That sits with me a lot better than just, it was all for nothing.
If the season was to end now, and it's really early, and we've played more games than others in our league, and I think that as things stand, Hadley, for example, have played 5 less games than us, but they play before lockdown, before we go into lockdown. And if they win that game, they would then have a better points per game than us. So if it was to end and they went up on that, I would feel really hard done by. But I would rather that happen than it be null and void. Yeah. And we have to wait until next August before we can start playing for something again. That's the thing. We cannot lose.
Do you think
I don't think we can lose 2 seasons of football.
No, I mean,
we've lost one that was unfair. It could have been 1 season over 2. It could have been. I think you suggested it. The
pick it up
1921 season as opposed to 1920 and 2021.
I mean, we'd be done now, wouldn't we, if we'd done that?
If we had just carried on from last year, we would be.
And we'd
have got the some clubs maybe had 15 games left to play. We've played 18 by now.
Yeah.
Season could have been finished.
Any of the leagues that I don't want to get too kind of political or bitter, but any of the leagues that counted in terms of, basically how much money's involved, the higher levels, they promoted teams that did well.
Yeah.
In the case of the National League, they promoted and didn't relegate in the National League South. So there are teams that we know well, like Braintree Town, who we played recently, or Billericay Town, who are close to us as well, that probably would have been relegated last season based on their positions in the National League South or points per game, whatever. They didn't because no one was getting promoted from the level below. But every league above that promoted and in many cases relegated as well. I stand by, regardless, and people will question this because we're obviously a team that's doing well at the moment, but I stand by my comment, which is it's better to reward the teams that have done well before they've finished the job and punish teams that have done badly before they've been officially relegated, which did happen in the professional leagues, than it is to just allow teams that are on relegation form to stay up and teams that are on promotion form and arguably too good for the league or whatever to stay in that league. I just think that's the way it is. But nothing would surprise me, but I would be really, really disappointed if this season got null and voided again. I'd also be very surprised if they did anything with the current results. I think there's got to be a load more games played, at least to maybe 50% of the league. One solution I think that could be done. It's not perfect, like you say, because it would be not consistent for every team, but maybe we just play every team once.
Yeah.
And maybe that does mean some teams play more home games than others, but at least you can say you played them. And how much does home and away advantage actually make a difference at our level?
Well, I know I think they were considering previously about whether you would even regionalise the leagues and make them, we were in the league with 18 teams. So it could have been 2 leagues of 9 and you play each other twice. It's the same as playing everyone as it is once. It's, as you say, you're not going to get a completely fair way of it, but that would be fairer.
Yeah. Let's hope that we
and
find
then you can
that.
fill it with round robin cup competitions maybe. That keeps things
one-off games,
interested. Or add a playoff system if need be. I don't know, but there had to be a better way than just to say sorry that didn't happen. And there's teams missed out on, as I say, big rewards. There's teams that have really been hurt by this and punished by this.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we were gutted for last season, but there's a few leagues above us. There's teams, that are paying a lot of money to players that had mathematically been completely clear of teams below them that missed out, and that has serious financial implications for teams.
Well, some teams have obviously got a model where they're spending to achieve because they've got a business plan that they're following, and that would be hugely damaging to them.
They also might have a model like that because they get 2,000 or 3,000 people through the gate, like a step 3 level, for example. But when they're not coming, they're punished for having a good model based on actual fans.
Yeah. But
I think we could sit here and theorise about what will happen. The fact is, what we know currently is we're definitely not playing football for a month. It's not happening. We're not allowed to train.
Nope.
You and I won't see each other after we record this video for a month. We'll all be doing our own thing in our own houses.
No, we'll all be resurrecting our Zoom
Tim Kitman fitness, getting our fitness going. But what does that mean? It means that we have to plan that we could potentially be playing a competitive game again in the 5th of December. But we also might have a world where we come back and play friendlies for a bit. What do you think?
I don't think there'd be friendlies.
Okay.
I just think that would be ridiculous, to be honest, because it would be time wasted. Not mid-season. I know we were starting a new season, and it was obviously a lot longer the lockdown before. So I don't think there should be a world where there's friendlies. I suspect we will be told if we're going back on Saturday the 5th that we'll be told we can train on the 3rd and playing on the 5th, which brings about other challenges in terms of player conditioning and being ready to go straight, because 4 weeks is a significant time to be out without being able to train properly. And people will be doing their 5K runs, they'll be doing their HIIT workouts, they'll be doing everything we can. You cannot replicate what's needed to play a football match. And so that's going to be about the team that's able to best cope with that scenario. There may be an opportunity. It might be that they start the following week and they give us a week. And that might at least give us 3 or 4 sessions. But we just don't know. And we've got to prepare for whatever.
How do you expect it to... Because I don't think there's many teams that are going to be happy about lockdown. I think maybe you could argue if there's a team with a load of injuries, it could be a positive. Or suspensions, it could be a positive. How do you expect
suspensions won't work, will they? Because they'll be suspended when they come back anyway.
True, they have to miss a certain amount of games, don't they? Of course, yes, so it wouldn't be an advantage. How do you expect it to affect us, though? I mean, obviously, we're in a good run. Won a lot of games this season already. Our VAR, we know who we're playing in the next round of the VARs. We're playing Fakenham Town away, which is the biggest away trip we've ever had. It's like a 2-hour plus drive, I think. So looking forward to a little bit of a day out. We just don't know when that's going to be played, of course. No. So as a manager...
That could be our first game back.
Could be our first game back.
It's meant to be the 28th of November.
Okay.
So the week before. If they push it back a week, it could be that we're going into a national cup competition. We're all going into it, not just us, obviously, without having time to...
We kind of did. I mean,
that way.
I was thinking our first game of the season this year was FA Cup, but we had a nice pre-season before that to get ready, didn't we?
We had games,
plenty of games. But what are you thinking now? Apart from keeping the boys fit, I mean, I know we're not happy about it, but how are we expecting it could affect things? What? Well,
let's look at the positives. It's going to give a fair few of our players a little bit more recovery time. It's going to give those that have been playing. Jesse, for example, I think hasn't missed a minute of the games. I think he's the only one.
Yeah, he's played every minute.
He's played every minute. So there's players that, a short break's not going to hurt them. We were hoping that short break would be not having a midweek fixture this week and just playing Saturday. But it's not going to hurt people like that in terms of an early winter break, if you like.
Yeah.
So it's going to allow people a bit more time to get fit and be in contention to play sooner or 4 more games than they would have been. So that's a big plus. On the downside of things, it's that, are we going to be asked to come back and go? I think we've had 5 Saturday, Monday fixtures on the trot. Fixtures have fallen in the manner where we've had a 1-day break between games. If we get that again, then that's going to be a real challenge for us. We're coming back where weather's going to play a part in postponements. So is that going to push back further You know, backlog of fixtures. Our home games won't be affected, obviously, but away games will. So there is going to be a point at the season when we go back where it's going to be there will definitely be clubs that suffer and find themselves playing 3 times a week to get the season completed.
Okay, so we'll leave it here. All we know right now is we've got a month off. Yep. We know we're going to come back in some capacity. We hope it's a month off. Obviously, there's a lot depending on that the R rate and things like this that are happening in terms of health could mean that we have to wait longer than that. I hope the powers that be, thinking very hard during this month about communicating with us how the league's going to be rectified with a number of different scenarios depending on how many games are played. And also thinking about opening up the possibility of playing some games in the summer if it's needed. Because the weather thing does concern me. You know, I actually think the weather is what cost us last year, because I think if January hadn't been so crazy last year, we'd have had a few more games played in our league.
We might have been closer to
More of the league have been played, 75%, that magic number. But again, we haven't heard that number, have we?
It was still, even when we were finishing in March, the last game we played, it was an absolute mud bath, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the advantage now is that we have our home games at least protected from that, but we've played a lot of home games already. So, I hope there's a plan. I hope there's a lot of plans, and that's what I want to see from. It's not our league; it's higher than our league. It's not even our level. It's the levels above us, because that feeds into us, and we hope that we get that clarification. Of course, when we get it, guys, we're going to pass it on to you guys. But from now on, you're going to have a month without any more games to watch on stream or anything. But of course, we're going to keep the content coming. We've got some exciting plans for Twitch. We've got some content in the locker, which we'll roll out over the next few weeks as well. As I say, me and Devs are going to record another video now, which is going to be answering your questions and opening the FA Cup envelope, seeing how close or not close I was to where we actually got to in the FA Cup. That's it for this video. Thank you to Devs for joining me. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the #United channel if you haven't already. You're making a big mistake. Get involved. Okay, until next time, don't forget to hashtag it.